This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
Hey man, I give it to him. Jaron Ennis, Boots Ennis, he's a different type of fighter. Now last night, April 12th, we had the Jaron Ennis versus Jonas unification bout. And this was a dominant performance by Mr. Boots Ennis, right? He was just clicking on all cylinders, right? He was in his flow state, he was in his element, he was doing what he typically does, right? The Chukajan fight left a bit of a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. The Avanesian fight was, this fight kind of puts him back on the map. Maybe he can hang out with Virgil Ortiz. Maybe he can beat a guy in Israel Madrimov and make some serious noise at 154 pounds. So this is a performance I wasn't expecting. I was expecting a dominant decision. The stoppage makes it even more sweet. But this was a performance he was really in need of. All right, I think Jaron Ennis really needed to make a statement. He really needed to prove himself. We need to talk about the entirety of that fight. We need to talk about both fighters, what they did great, bad, good, and maybe the future for Ennis, right? Let's first get out the way. His hand speed is amazing, right? And I noticed that Stenionis wasn't able to properly initiate the offense out of the high guard due to the lack of speed, the lack of explosiveness, the lack of athleticism Stenionis has. So when you have Jaron Ennis, a guy who is 5'10", 5'11", 74-inch reach, and despite him being so large, he's not really losing too much in the speed department. So he's throwing 3-4 punch combinations. By the time Stenionis is able to try and catch and shoot, attempt to catch and shoot, and counter Boots' long combinations, Boots is already pivoted out the way. He's back in the center of the ring. So that was Stenionis' biggest problem. He's not able to initiate his offense out of the high guard, right? He's just not an athletic fighter, especially compared to Jaron Boots Ennis. He's a really straightforward up and down fighter, but nonetheless, I still think Stenionis is a pretty damn good fighter. So Boots' hand speed was probably his best attribute last night. His power was pretty good. His defense was okay. Now, one thing I'm concerned about with Boots, he needs to get over himself. We get it. You're pretty. You could dodge everything. You could go under shots. You could smother shots. You can catch shots. You can fight with your hands down. You are pretty, Jaron Ennis, right? Is that what you need to hear? You are pretty. We get it. You're an amazing boxer. You're an amazing athlete. Tremendous kid. Spectacular. But he takes too much unnecessary shots, right? Trying to showboat. Trying to fight in the pocket. Trying to, or unnecessarily putting himself on the ropes in the corner. I like Jaron Ennis. I think he's a great fighter. Amazing fighter. But he has to get over himself. You are too in love with your speed. You are too in love with your chin. You are too in love with your power. You are too in love with your God-given abilities, which is understandable. Embrace that. But I want to see him couple those abilities with amazing boxing IQ. That's how you get specimens in Floyd Mayweather. That's how you get specimens in Terrence Crawford. That's how you get specimens in Noah Inoue. Amazing athletes these guys are, but they take their athleticism and then they couple it with their boxing IQ and overall pure boxing ability. Boots still seems like really raw in the ring. I want to see him fight more like he did in round one. Double jab, triple jab, upstairs, downstairs, not fighting in the corner, not taking too much punishment. These are shots that I think you will not be able to laugh off against Virgil Ortiz. You will not be able to just roll your head and stick your tongue out against Virgil Ortiz. And I'm saying this as a fan of Jaron Ennis, a big fan of Jaron Ennis. I'm saying this because I want to see him beat Virgil, right? I put it out there. I'm biased towards Boots. I want to see him beat Virgil. But right now I'm picking Virgil to beat Boots. He's taking too much punishment inside the ring. But outside of that, I think the kid looked pretty damn good. Right? I think that's all I have for Jaron Ennis. We'll talk about his future in a bit. Let's talk about Stenionis. Like I said, he doesn't have the athleticism to properly counter out of the high guard, properly initiate any sort of offense against Jaron Ennis out of his high guard. So the fight was wasn't too interesting. By the time it got to about round 3, Jaron Ennis completely neutralized his stiff power jab. As soon as he probably switched to southpaw, I want to say Stenionis' jab was pretty irrelevant. The clean shots he was landing on Boots seemed to have no effect. There were some times Boots gave me a bit of a scare. I thought he got dropped in, I want to say, round 2. I thought there were some times he was hurt, but it always seems like he was giving Stenionis the better punch when they were punching each other. In these exchanges, it seems like Boots Ennis got the better of the exchanges most times than not. Stenionis is he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. And not much he could have done in that fight. I am disappointed in him and his team, his corner, his camp, his head trainer. I don't want to say that was a terrible stoppage. I'm not going to tell a trainer that you are wrong to pull your fighter out of a fight. Who am I to say that? This is your fighter. This is a father, right? Shout out Stenionis. His want to say his wife, fiance, just had their baby. But this is a father. This is a son to somebody. So I'm never going to say you're wrong to pull your fighter out of a fight. But I feel like he could have kept going. I feel like for the unification, the unified titles of the welterweight division, the lineal title, you trained how many months? You flew how many hours? You promoted this fight with how many dollars, right? You got to put up more of a fight. You know, he got dropped in round 6. He got on the stool, and then they stopped the fight. He got dropped due to body shots. He got up, he recovered instantly, he finished the round off. Right, he was getting beat on pretty bad, but he was still landing some good shots. Some rounds were still a bit competitive. He wasn't just utterly getting dominated in there. In that situation, like I said, me personally, my humble, honest opinion, you got to let the fight go on. But I will never get mad at a coach for pulling their fighter out of any situation. Who am I to say that behind the camera when they're actually in the corner working with the guy? I think that's all I have for Stenionis. I think that's all I have for Jaron Ennis. Let's speak about his future. A lot of people are saying Boots 54, 54, 54. You need to move up. He looks a bit large. No, he's going to stay at 47. He's probably not going to be able to grab any of the titles, I doubt. Barrio seems a bit frightened. What's the other kid's name? Brian Norman seems to be petrified. So I don't think he's going to unify at 47. But you have Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Teofimo Lopez about to come into your division. You do not move up to 154 and fight Virgil Ortiz for an interim WBC title. You do not do that, right? This is your division now. You stamped that last night. You grab both titles. You grab the lineal. You wait for those big paydays to come up to you, and you do what you do to those guys. You go out there, you try to stop Haney. You try to stop Ryan. You try to stop Teo. Like I said, you do not move up and fight for an interim title, giving up your titles. Giving up your undefeated record, giving up the way the public perceives you. So stay at 47, beat up on those junior welterweights. And there's going to be a lot of fans that's going to think that is extremely impressive. There are a lot of fans who are very high on Ryan Garcia. You know, I wouldn't say a lot of fans are high on Devin, but guys who know boxing are very high on Devin. I'm very high on Devin Haney. And of course, Teofimo Lopez. So I would say stay at 147. But outside of that, really good performance, really great night from Jaron Ennis. It looked like a routine night in the office, despite it being one of his toughest fights, or probably his toughest fight to date. But you guys let me know, how do y'all feel about this fight? What do you want to see next from Jaron Ennis? What do you want to see next from Stenionis?